Welcome to another edition of Inside Guyana. This interview has been arranged by senior cameraman Mr. Larry Diaram, and it is to update Guyanese in the diaspora and throughout the United States, and Canada, on the upcoming national and regional elections in Guyana, which is scheduled for May 11th, 2015. Today, the special guest in ITV studio is the Prime Ministerial candidate from the incumbent People's Progressive Party Civic, Mrs. Elisabeth Harper. Madam Elisabeth Harper, welcome to ITV studio, Vision of Asia.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jadoopat.
As is customary on our program Inside Guyana, we would ask you to just briefly introduce yourself to the ITV viewers.
Well, thank you very much. Let me first of all say that I want to thank you for the invitation that was extended to me to be interviewed and to share some of myself with the diaspora and others who may be listening, and also to bring to the viewers the plans, the roadmap of the People's Progressive Party Civic for the upcoming elections. I am Elisabeth Harper. I was born in Kitty, Georgetown, Guyana. I'm 57 years old, and before my entry into politics, which was very recent, as you may know, I was a serving public servant. I worked in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. That was my first and only job. And I was the Director General of that ministry and also Ambassador to CARICOM.
Maybe, Mrs. Harper, that is a good introduction. Maybe we should start our question from right there. Foreign Ministry, since you're dealing with the diaspora, and I'm living here among them, we have lots of issues. And probably viewers of ITV program will definitely not be happy if I don't ask you, why is it that they have to wait months to get their passports renewed? And why is it if they need a power of attorney to use in Guyana, they have to wait unlimited time?
Well, first of all, let me just say that we hold the diaspora very dear to our heart. The diaspora, particularly in North America, have been giving back to Guyana as much as they could. I know some give their contributions and the government does not even know that they do that. They're really unsung heroes. There are others who have a structured program of assistance. They would come every year or twice a year and do a medical outreach in certain communities.
Oh, you're talking about the
No, I just
passport,
wanted to just say in that introduction that the diaspora, we are very concerned to make sure that their needs are met by the missions that serve them. And so I just wanted to add that we are concerned about that and we acknowledge the contributions that they make. So they're very important to us. With regard to the passports, now you know that we have put a different system in place. It's the machine-readable passport. It was put in place because of the need for us to meet international standards for the biometrics and for security. And therefore, we no longer have our missions issuing passports wherever they're stationed. All of the passports have to be issued centrally in Guyana. The applications are accepted at the missions, however, and we give a turnaround time of about at least 6 weeks for the issuance of passports. Of course, there are times when some forms are not completed correctly, the signature is not legible, it can't be read onto the electronic system, and that would slow the application process up a bit. But certainly we have been making improvements in our system, and if there are any complaints that people have, we would like you to raise them with the ambassador in Washington, the consul general in New York, or our consul general in Toronto, or the high commissioner in Ottawa, so that we could correct what you think might be a problem. The powers of attorney, there again, we have to make sure that everything is above board. We have had several fraudulent documents put forward to us, and therefore we have to make sure that our system is transparent, our system is foolproof as far as we can have it so. And therefore we have had to put systems in place to make sure that when we process powers of attorney, that we're doing it with the right people. So it might take a little time, but we are saying that we have to make sure our systems are
So the time cannot be shortened?
No, it depends on what it is, but I'm not sure in terms of the time, because the problem that you're raising, because if you have to sign to a power of attorney, you have to present the person's identification card. The person has to come forward themselves. Unless the person is bedridden, in that regard, our staff would go to the person's home. But, so I'm not sure in terms of the exact problem that you're outlining.
No, people come into the consulate, they have all their paper ready, nothing else, but for them to receive the official thing, it has to take weeks.
Well, I don't know, but that might be...
in one case, one gentleman told me that he asked the consulate, when am I going to receive this thing back? And he was told, we don't know, wait, we will call you. So there's no definitive answer.
And how long did he have to wait?
He had to wait 6 weeks.
Okay, well, I am not sure about that particular case, but I think that, we would have to look at it by a case by case, because normally you wait for the power of attorney to be stamped by the consulate. If the signatories are not in office, if we have to make checks in terms of signatures, in terms of ID, to make sure that who is presenting the power of attorney or who is giving the power of attorney is the right person, then once that is in place, it is done.
Okay, that's clear. You used the word just now, which actually is flowing into the questions here so smoothly. Transparency. And this is one of the biggest things we're talking about in Guyana today, that a lot of the government projects are not transparent enough. There's a lack of accountability, and I'm sure you've been asked these questions before. You've heard it many times. And in the diaspora, people are very concerned because we live in America and we see how things are done here. You can go to jail if contracts are not in order, and if contracts were issued in violation of certain regulations here. We had the instances of FIP Motilal, who's supposed to build a road to the hydro power place in the Amelia Falls, and apparently this man never built a road in his life. And a contract was issued to him, money was paid, and then they realized this man doesn't know anything about building road. Secondly, they had Surindra, who came to build some hospital from India, and also again, so what about the accountability here? What kind of due diligence actually is supposed to be done, and what was done in these two cases?
Well, I would want to move forward. You talk about transparency and the systems that need to be put in place or strengthened to ensure transparency and accountability. When the Pppc took office, they ensured that the Public Accounts Committee in the Parliament was functioning. That committee is chaired by the opposition, and it examines the reports, the yearly reports of each government entity submitted by the Auditor General. And that is one aspect of accountability. Moving forward, what the government will be doing, and it is in the manifesto that will be coming out, is to establish an independent unit which will monitor the accountability and transparency of projects that would have to meet international standards of transparency.
Are you talking about the Public Procurement Commission?
I'm talking about, no. The Public Procurement Commission is a national, is different.
Oh, it's not established as yet, correct?
It is to be established, but it is, I'm talking about the issue of looking at how credible systems are put in place. You know, I'm looking at, people talk about corruption. So what the government is going to be doing is establishing a special unit that would monitor
corruption.
Well, it's important.
Yeah.
And that's,
you know, monitor corruption, or prevent corruption?
No. I said monitor transparency and accountability in government work to making sure that we meet the international standards. Yes.
It's sad that it's only now that they're thinking about that. The people
well,
in the government for 23
it will be done, and
almost.
we're moving forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other question I have here is about the drugs, crime and punishment situation. And there's a backlog of court cases in the courts of Guyana. Mm-hmm. Maybe you can touch on those a little bit.
Actually,
the drug is a big problem because we almost every week we find at JFK people coming in here.
Well, let me say,
they find drugs in their pineapple, in their rum, in their everything, mm-hmm. in their body, in their belly.
Yeah.
So what's going on there?
It is not only a national problem. Let me tell you, it is a regional problem, and it's international, and that is why we are working with our regional partners and the United States of America. President Obama just met with our heads of government in CARICOM. One of the issues is security on the regional agenda with the United States. And we are partnering with Canada as well, and our neighboring countries, Brazil, Suriname, Venezuela, to try to handle the issue of illegal drugs passing through our country. So that is one thing. Of course, you have to make sure that your systems are up to date all the time because, you know, people get smart, so you have to get smarter. You talked about the drugs and
crime.
The crime. The crime, in relation to crime, the party is going to be putting out its manifesto soon. But you will see in that manifesto a 15-point plan for crime, which will seek to professionalize, seek to help the police force to become more professional, training of the police, equipping the force, ensuring that the force is more responsive, quicker response time to 911 calls, emergency calls. Community policing is another aspect. And so those are some of the key areas that we will be looking at in terms of fighting crime.
Yeah, but most of these things have been in place for many, many years and they're not functioning.
We're looking at strengthening the systems that are in place. We're looking at adding new systems as well. We'll be increasing the police force. component, the human resource component. We're also going to be looking at how we can make sure that drugs don't enter schools. And so the police will be looking at that program as well too with the Ministry of Education. You talked about the backlog of court cases. We will also be looking to make sure that the justice system is strengthened so that we can make sure that there is a quicker turnover of cases being heard.
Okay, you touched on that a little bit, so let us move on. When I was a kid going to school in Guyana, we had water on our second floor, flowing as much as we wanted. Now, 40 years later, we don't have water, drinking potable water in many homes in Guyana. You have water shortage, water problems all over, and electricity the same thing. We have blackouts up to now. What is going on? Why can't we get this problem fixed? The PPP has been in power for 22 years and more. And when the PNC was in power, they used to criticize the PNC, make us.
So you're talking about water and electricity.
Yeah, water
going to the homes. Well,
yes, generally.
Let me just say that we have a number of communities that now are getting running water. Okay. We have a number of communities that have running what you call potable water. We have a project with the Japanese that would allow us to also look at our water system. We're looking at water treatment plants, and in terms of the electricity, what we are going to be doing, I noticed that you mentioned, yes, we are still getting some power outages. They are not as they used to be. They're not as lengthy. But of course, everybody knows that the Guyana Power and Light is experiencing some challenges. But that too, we're looking at making sure that the distribution system is improving. And so what we're also going to be doing, we have solar power, which has been introduced into the hinterland communities. So many of our hinterland communities have solar power, and therefore they can have access to the internet. We also are looking at wind energy. And you probably have heard about the Amila Falls project, which will be coming on stream once the government is re-elected, and smaller hydro projects as well. This is going to help the private sector, the productive sector. Once you have cheaper energy, you can be more productive. So we hope that those systems would also help to improve the quality of life of our people.
Yeah, one more thing. It is amazing to know we have such a beautiful country, Guyana, and when you go to most of the places, you find litter all over the place, garbage here, there, and everywhere, and it's very distasteful. And we're saying we want to attract the diaspora to come back home. We want tourists to come back home to see all the niceties of Guyana. But this litter problem, the sanitation problem, is a big issue. How do you intend to attract us or people from the other countries to come to Guyana when that's all you see, flies and garbage?
Yeah, actually, that is an issue. It's a concern for every Guyanese who lives in Guyana, almost, I would say. And therefore, we hope that in the next period of administration of the Pppc, to give more focus on waste management, to ensure that we can have a better system, and to clean up the city where, tourism is one of our new economic frontier sectors. And so therefore we have to match what we want to offer with what people expect.
Yes, we're coming towards the end of our interview.
Okay.
We have another couple of minutes. We want to touch on the police, the social services, the police torture, the women's abuse or violence against women, child abuse, and trafficking in person. What would you say on that? We see that you're on the ticket with Barra Jagdeo, former president, and he is known to have abused his wife psychologically and whatever. She was actually in this studio here, Vashti Singh, and she complained about him. How would you be able to sit next to such a person on the same ticket and say that you're going to represent women against violence, against abuse?
Well, first of all, let me tell you that I'm not here to speak about the former president's personal life.
It's no longer personal, it's public.
I am not here to speak about his personal life.
It's public life.
What I hoped you would have asked me was what I've been speaking about on my platform, which is women's rights, the empowerment of women, and looking to see how we can deal with domestic violence. And so that will be one of the main issues that we will be addressing in our next administration.
Okay, we are coming to the end of our interview. Madam Prime Ministerial Candidate, please, you have the opportunity now, without any question, tell our ITV viewers whatever you want to tell them. Tell them how you're going to help them in the future, how you're going to help Guyanese.
Well, I want to thank Dr. Jadoopat for this opportunity to have been questioned by him and to share my views. The Pppc views the next election as one that will transform Guyana, the next administration. And so the vision of our party is to ensure that we can bring even more economic progress and social progress to the people of Guyana, to make sure that we have a safer, a more secure, a more stable Guyana, and one that our diaspora will continue to dedicate and commit to serving the country of their birth. I want to thank you for having me in your homes. Thank you very much.
It was a pleasure having you on our program Inside Guyana, Madam Prime Ministerial Candidate, Mrs. Elisabeth Harper. Special thanks to Larry Diaram for arranging this interview at ITV. Our gratitude also goes out to Mr. Prakash Banad, Deepak and Dave Vishwanath, and also Mrs. Satya Vishwanath. Until next time, this is yours truly, Dr. Rudy Jadoopat, wishing you the very best, and thank you for watching.